A debate is a discussion or a structured contest about an issue or resolution. A formal debate involves two sides, one supporting a resolution and one opposing it. Such a debate is bound by rules previously agreed upon. Debates may be judged in order to declare a winning side. Debates in one form or another are commonly used in democratic societies to explore and resolve issues and problems. The viewers must have watched the Biden-Trump debate, I'm sure. Let me not beat about the bush. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to introduce our dauntless debaters who made it big in the international debate organized by La Martiniere College. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce these dazzling debaters who did us really proud in the international debate contest. And the first one here on my right side, it is Amit Prakash Nambiar.
Hello.
This is Abin K. Saju. This is the school head boy, Jerome John Thomas.
Hello.
And this is Simon Tricka.
Hello.
Now we are going to have a discussion. Are you ready?
Yes.
Ready? Yes. Our debate, or rather a discussion, will be based on this premise. Listen to me. Lisa Montgomery, the only female inmate on federal death row, has been executed on January 13, 2021. You know, she was executed for what? For murder, right. She received a lethal injection in a prison in Indiana after the last minute stay of her execution. This brings back the old debate topic which we had debated in colleges. The same one, that is capital punishment justified? Is it ethical? Of course, it's a very old debate topic. So let's have a discussion. And I want Jerome and Simon, you will be supporting the motion that, listen to me, that capital punishment is unethical and therefore it must be banned. Amit and Abin, you are going to speak against the motion. Are you ready?
Yes.
Would you like to find some information? I think you would want to, right?
Yes.
Fine. You have 10 minutes to do this. Start.
Start in the United States, where the execution of Lisa Montgomery has been carried out. This just a day after a US judge postponed it, arguing that she was too mentally ill to understand why she was being executed. That decision was overturned by the Supreme Court. Lisa Montgomery was sentenced to death in 2007 for strangling a pregnant woman in Missouri before cutting out and kidnapping her unborn baby. She's the first woman to be put to death since 1953. Her lawyers and supporters had appealed to President Trump for clemency. Our correspondent Nomir Iqbal reports from Indiana, where the execution took place.
Thank you, moderator. Now, for the premises of this discussion and actually this debate, as we call it, let me state out what we as a group will consider the definition of capital punishment. Capital punishment, also called the death penalty, is the execution of an offender sentenced to death after conviction by a court of law over a criminal offense. Capital punishment should be distinguished, and I'm repeating, it should be distinguished from extrajudicial executions carried out without due process of law. And I believe the speakers, or the viewers at home and speakers, I want you to just keep that thought in mind. The killing of a person, the execution of a person, taking away one's life for a mistake or their unlawfulness. The basic argument behind capital punishment is all guilty people deserve to be punished in a proportional severity of their crime. If you've killed someone, you deserve to be killed.
Yeah, I get it. So what he says is that the state is taking revenge on someone's behalf. That is what he wants to say. And he says that that is unethical because state has to pardon. It is state's responsibility to correct an individual and not to punish an individual. What do you think, Abhin and Amit?
Yes, of course, the state has an obligation to protect its citizens. And if these perpetrators or criminals are responsible for others' death, why not the death of other members of the society? You see, being part of society, it must be enabled to protect its own citizens. And the law, in turn, must allow such sentences so that criminals in near future, offenders know what is the outcome of doing such crimes, or what is the necessity that what will make you come about all this. And sentenced to die for the crimes they committed come before the court and people come before the court asking them to nullify as cruel and unusual under the 8th Amendment. They rely on this provision because it is the only provision they can rely on, while all the other law points are against the criminals themselves who are responsible for the crimes they committed.
So it is all about responsibility, and I think Abhin is trying to tell us that state has the responsibility to safeguard the safety and safeguard the life and property of individuals. It is the responsibility of the state, indeed. So if there is no punishment, people will be encouraged to do crimes. That is what I think his argument is based upon. What do you have to say, Simon and Jerome? I think that's a valid point raised by Abhin.
Yes, and of course, moderator, it is a valid point raised by Abhin. But as much as I agree with you, I have to disagree with him. Because the point is that capital punishment is, again, like I said, it is justified, or it is related to killing someone because they have caused a crime, or because they've made a mistake. But out of research, we can see that thousands of years of practice has not been able to deter murderers. Capital punishment was not introduced this year or this decade. It was introduced with the upbringing of civilization itself. And till date, we still see murderers still emerging. So the fact of bringing up the point that capital punishment will deter future people to not abide by the law does not and is literally not substantial evidence, or not is there no substantial evidence. And to Simone.
Yes, I'd like to add something to what you said. The fallacy that crueler punishments deter crime doesn't take into account that there are complex social and economic factors that drive these crime rates. And secondly, that criminals don't often plan on getting caught or think through all of their consequences on their actions. So I feel like death penalty seems more like vengeance or retribution than a sort of punishment that should be given.
Yeah, but Simon and Jerome, if these criminals, if they go around in the society, they prowl around the society and they cause more and more harm to the society. They can kill people because they are inclined to crime and criminal activities. Are you suggesting that these people should go scot-free and they should be allowed to do whatever they want?
If I may, moderator, the only act which can be passed by the law is not only the capital punishment. You can imprison them, can't we? And the whole point and the whole objective of the legislative and the judicial system is to rehabilitate, to bring us back into the ongoings of society as individuals which can blend, which can contribute.
I think you got that, Abhin and Amit. He says that it is not murder, judicial murder, but correct them, reform them, and bring them back to the mainstream of the society. I think that is the responsibility vested in the state, right? So what do you have to say, Abhin and Amit?
Yeah, one of the solutions instead of capital punishment you had said was to give them life imprisonment. And one point about that is that by keeping every murderer alive, many more people are at risk of losing their lives or being murdered. You can take into instance the other prisoners, the prison guards, or the innocent lives of the public. If the murderer was to escape out of prison, which in recent years there have been many cases of murderers and psychopaths breaking loose of their prison cell and going out in the society, imagine the chaos that would be within the society.
Yeah, I get it, yes.
Well, they spoke about life sentences. Life sentences do not guarantee that these murderers or criminals are going to change their ways and move on to the path of sanity. What if these persons are committing a crime of national security? What if they put the national security of the country at stake? Are they not liable for execution? Because look, their allegiance towards countries must exist at all times. If you take the Taj attack, 9/11, all these perpetrators were caught, these terrorists were caught. But if you're not sending them up these people find solace in violence and crime. And if you set them up for humanitarian concerns, does that not send the wrong message to society? That they can do something wrong and get life imprisonment but not a death sentence? In turn, you are allowing them to, allowing more of them to develop within the society, and it sends the wrong message for such heinous crimes.
It sends such a wrong message for such crimes that anyone can do anything and finally they can just leave, or it is just a minimal punishment. That is what Abin is trying to tell you, that he says that because these punishments should serve as a model for correction. Others should feel that yes, if I go beyond the accepted rules of the society, I will be punished. So I think it is a very valid point, Jerome and Simone.
Simone, if I may. Again, coming back to the point, yes, you had mentioned, and I agree with the opposition in the fact that we do have to be tough on crime. We have to be, there must be repercussions, there must be causes and costs available, right, for causing unlawful act of justice against the justice system. But that doesn't mean that death is the answer. You stated that there is no guarantee that these individuals will come out of their murderous sense or their act of, wanting to kill any individual around them. Killing them doesn't solve it, right? Pushing away a problem is not the solution. Taking the problem and working hands-on on it is the solution. Trying to find a formula to fix it is what we should be doing, not cutting them away from society and not allowing them to even give a chance for them to become better individuals in society.
And since you have spoken all this, Jerome, which is the formula that you suggest? And one more thing I just want to ask you, Simone and Jerome, that for example, these criminals, say someone has murdered someone or has done something, cannot be pardoned by the society, and you give him a life imprisonment at the age of 20, 21, 22, and how long he's going to be in the prison? And what if he comes out of the prison? And what about the 15 years or 13 years of imprisonment, life imprisonment? What about the economic impact? Why should the taxpayers pay money for these seasoned criminals? This is my genuine question that I want to ask you.
So you have to understand that it costs more for a person to be put on the death penalty than to be kept alive. That has been proven repeatedly. So for you to say that the taxpayers are paying to keep these people alive in federal prisons is wrong, because it definitely costs more to kill them rather than keep them alive. And also, it doesn't make us better humans if we're just leaving them to die. We're trying to rehabilitate them. We're not asking you to leave them scot-free into the society. We're asking you to give them some patience, give them some time for you to make them understand, to give them better opportunities, to make them understand what they've done is wrong, to rehabilitate them basically. So for us to just resort to their violence, an eye for an eye basically, to kill them just because they've killed someone else is wrong, and that is not what we should be doing. That is not humanity on our part.
Yeah, that is how Simone has justified her stance. What do you think, Amit and Abin?
Again, I really admire the proposition's terms of humanity and how they believe in this utopian world where everyone can be rehabilitated back into society. But let's take the instance of Ted Bundy. He faced trial for kidnapping and assault, and he was found guilty and was sentenced to life imprisonment. Now, in the utopian world that the proposition says, he was supposed to stay in prison for the rest of his life, where he would be of no harm to others. But what exactly happened was he attempted to escape out of prison, which he managed to do so. And in that case, Bundy tried to escape on January 15th of 1978. He went to Florida State University, and in the early morning hours, he assaulted and strangled 4 sleeping women, where 1 life was lost and the 3 others were heavily damaged. You talk about cost being one of the factors determining on whether we should keep the capital punishment. But my question to you is, can you quantify the cost of the innocent life that was lost in that case?
Yes, Jerome and Simon, you must answer this question. A very relevant question he asked.
Wonderfully put by the opposition. Now, when you ask me, can we quantify the actual life? We can't, can we? We can't quantify the life. But isn't that exactly what we're doing to these individuals who are being put on death penalty? We're literally nullifying the actual value they have, or the positive value they have to our society. And we are literally executing it. We're not allowing them to even give a chance. And coming back.
Yeah, Jerome, yes, some of them, yes, as you said, you may be able to reform them. But I also believe that, but I may be wrong, okay? I don't have like anything to suggest or anything to state that what I'm going to tell you is absolutely correct. I'm not good at psychology, but I have read somewhere that there are some criminals who are incorrigible. Incorrigible means cannot be changed at all. So what about those criminals? Won't they start from the scratch, and or they will go back and they will start their old ways and cause irreparable damage to the society again?
Granted, again, thank you, moderator. But like you said, there are, and your point is valid, that there are individuals who cannot be changed. And not only in the field of murder or crimes, where there are people with issues with their mental life where we cannot bring them back from what they're facing. That doesn't mean in those situations we do not give up on them, do we? We still work. We still push our bounds. We still push our limits to help them as individuals, to help bring them back, even though we might see that they're a lost cause. As parents, as students, we see our peers and our juniors. If they're not individuals who can abide by the school rules, we don't just say, in slang terms, kali wali, and leave them alone. We try to fixate on them. We try, even though we might say it's a lost cause, we try to bring them back. Yes, and that same principle can be put on.
That's a very clever argument. So, yes, Abhin and Amit.
Again, one of the examples given by the proposition was in comparison to a school child. That itself does not make sense. The school child does not, you can't compare these two stuff. But a life is being lost, you're comparing in terms of abiding school laws. And another point made by you, Jerome, was that they can be rehabilitated back into society. But what about the ones who are gone case? They reach a point where they cannot come back. And another one thing which you told was the prisoners are indulged into community service or other activities where they have a way to come back into society. Well, I would like to tell you one case about Robert Charles. He was executed in 2013. He was sentenced to life without parole for a drug-related murder. Now, about him was that he was sentenced to life imprisonment. Now, the point being made here is that when a person is sentenced to life imprisonment, the prisoners around him are not safe. He himself is not safe. Now, in the first case, about the prisoners not being safe, Charles, he had strangled and beaten up a 63-year-old cellmate to death. He had killed a man within the jail. And when asked about why he did that, was that he planned it with his own conscience. He was not mentally ill or anything. He had planned it within his own conscience, and he said that he was going to do it again and again. Now see, with these type of people, there is no coming back within them. And now the second type, where the murderer himself is not safe. For instance, you take the Nirbhaya case. Ram Singh was one of the rapists, along with his members, partners of crime. If he was sent to prison, the whole nation wanted a piece of him. The safety of him is at stake. There are many cases where a pedophile, for instance, a pedophile in UK was stabbed to death in the brain. The security of the pedophile itself is at stake. So when a person has reached a point where he cannot come back, it's better to just go forwards to capital punishment.
Okay, Amit, but at the same time, I just want to ask you, because there were many errors in judgment in India, so many I have read, that were hundreds of criminals given the wrong sentence. So if you give them capital punishment, how will we ever be able to correct your sentence in a hurry-burry if you execute people? This is also, isn't it a concern?
Again, sir, about the hurry-burry you say, people spend about 40 years of their life on death row. So during that time, there's a lot of court cases going on. And again, the argument that an innocent may be executed, it is sincere, but it is not honest in my opinion. Why? Because opponents of capital punishment oppose the death penalty even when there is absolute proof of the murderer's guilt. Suppose you show a video of a man burning a family alive, along with eyewitnesses, if you say there is CGI, the opponents of capital punishment would still oppose taking that man's life.
So are you stating that there can't be errors in judgment?
So, along with the advancements in technology, with the recent technological advancement in DNA testing, the likelihood of an error has reduced significantly, if not nil. It has reduced tremendously.
Reduced tremendously, so they must be punished. And they also say that there is no point in keeping them in prison because, as we had stated already, the economic impact. So again, going back to the eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. What do you have to say,
See,
Siobhan?
now you have to understand that the judges that are coming up with these decisions are human beings. Human beings are fallible. Now for you to say that technology has improved, you have DNA testing machines that can, there's possibly virtually no error, yeah? You have to understand that these judges that are making these decisions, that are putting these people on death row are humans. Humans make errors. You cannot make this criminal justice system fail safe, yeah? It is deeply flawed. Now look, keeping everything aside, yeah? Some people are beyond repair. You cannot fix them. I do agree. But don't you see that when we're talking about judicial punishment, when we're talking about capital punishment, the methods that are used are clearly inhumane. There are lethal injections. People are electrified, you know. These are not humane methods. This is not what we should be supporting. Yes, I do agree that Ted Bundy, especially with the Nirbhaya case as well, these people were clearly wrong. But what we are asking is not for you to just murder them, to have it easy for them to just ease their pain by dying, or by torturing them through these methods like electrocution or legal injection or whatever. We are asking for you to keep them in prison, for you to increase their life imprisonment, for them to learn there, for them to live their last days, you know, learning things that will help them become a better person instead of just killing them. And yeah, that is all we're asking you for. We are not telling you that they should be left scot-free or you should teach them skills for them to return back to humanity. We cannot expect that because these are people that have done tremendous wrong. But just killing them like that is also very inhumane on our part. It is very cruel. So for us to do that, I feel on a humanitarian basis, it makes absolutely no sense.
And if I may, moderator.
Yes, please.
You had mentioned about Robert Charles, yes. That was in 1865. Right? He was born in 1865, died
I would
in
like
1900s.
Yes, please.
That a name can be given to many people. That's another case. The one which
Correct me if I'm
he
wrong.
was sentenced to death in 2013.
Correct me.
He was executed in
In
2013.
Okay, well, there was a very similar case of
Exactly.
4 police and 2 civilians being killed and other 20s which sparked a major riot within them. But, okay, valid point. Let me bring that point. You said 2013 he was executed? 2013 he was executed. First point, you said there were technological advancements which made that the judicial system will have almost null in any errors that can occur. Let me bring you back to 2004. There is an individual, a Texas man named Cameron Todd Willingham. He was executed in Texas in 2004 for allegedly setting a fire that killed his 3 daughters and his wife. Following his execution, and let me state this, a year after his execution, that is 12 months, further evidence that revealed that Willingham did not set that fire that caused their deaths. Like the moderator had mentioned, you cannot take it back. Putting an individual in jail allows them, like my teammate had mentioned, reconcile in their actions, right? To think about what they've done, to understand the mistakes they've made. Killing one ends it. Like, I believe I'm coming back to my same point, but that is because we are stuck in this, like Sir said, an eye for an eye debate. We are stating the fact that there should be a chance given to them to come back. Life imprisonment allows them to be kept in quarantine from society, like you said, when they are a threat to humankind.
All right, dear students, we have certain time constraints, definitely. So I want Amit and Abhin, yes, we are going to wrap up the debate. Yes, what do you think about that? What your answer to his statement?
Well, of course, the judicial system has its own flaws. That does not mean we must not carry out the judicial order. Judges are, of course, infallible and they can make errors. But does that mean that we must allow these perpetrators to live on in society? No, the mobsters and criminals, of course, conduct their crimes within the prisons and they carry out the crimes outside society. How is this possible? Because they have strong connections within and in the outside at the same time. And these cases of one person murdering the other person, that's all the proposition has to provide. In the case of Ted Bundy, he has not murdered an individual. He has murdered several individuals out of some kind of cold-blooded ecstasy he used to receive from those murders. And various other serial killers do the same thing. How can you give such humanitarian concerns to such people? The boy killer, for example, he was known to skin his victims alive and make utensils out of it, make furniture out of it. How can you justify or give him some humanitarian concern that he might change in the near future? We are trying to make the near future safe. We are not allowing some lost individual to come back if he himself does not want to come back from what he has done.
Okay, sorry for interfering. That what I think he wants to put it in a nutshell. If to put it in a nutshell, he says that such people don't deserve humanitarian treatment from anyone. They are worse than animals. That is what. Okay, I have 30 seconds to state your point. What do you think about it? What he has just mentioned?
So like I've said before, and I've said it many times, we do agree that you cannot leave these people out in society. We completely agree on that fact. But all we're asking you is not to kill them in human ways. Now what you all are focusing and have been focusing on are people that have done wrong. But you are forgetting these are not the only people that are put on the death row. There are countless people that are put there that do not deserve to be killed. Yeah, let me now focus on the example of America.
Quickly.
Right? So the US justice system is deeply flawed. We've all seen that. If you watch the news, you've seen it multiple times. And when its power extends to the right to execute, it inevitably translates to the murder of many innocent or wrongly convicted people. There exists very strong racial bias in America. A 2014 study of death row determined that over 1 in 25 people executed in the US are wrongfully convicted. The death penalty consistently exposes and reinforces the tendency of the US systems, particularly the justice system, to value white lives more than black lives. So now what we focused on throughout this discussion are people that do deserve this from your point of view. We have been asking you not to kill them in human ways. Now for the people that do not deserve this, that are wrongfully convicted, for them the death row is absolutely unnecessary and it's not needed.
Yes, Simon, conclude. Yes, Jerome.
30 seconds.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
Okay, 10 seconds. And again, coming back to the point, let me reiterate, like she said, it's not only murderers that are put on death row. We have individuals in drug trafficking. We have individuals who have committed very small crimes. So I just want you to think of that, and the speakers, that viewers at home, to think about that. Please.
Yes, you have also 15 seconds to sum up. Come on.
Again, the main point made by you both was that if our criminal justice system discriminates in applying the death penalty so that some do not get the deserved punishment and innocent lives are being at stake, it is no reason to give lesser punishments to the murderers who deserve the death penalty. Some justice, however unequal, is better than no justice,
Amit,
however equal. To ensure justice and equality, we must work to improve our system so that everyone who deserves the death penalty get it. And
Yes,
not go
Amit Nambiar, it's time we stopped. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, inhumane treatment of an offender does not solve their misdeeds or those of humanity in general. The best approach to an offender is reformatory rather than punitive. Thus, I believe that in order to develop a human rights culture, it is essential to abolish capital punishment. Purely my personal opinion, with all due respect to both sides. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me call it a day. The viewers, it is up to you to decide. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Masala Cafe with EP Prasad, the segment for WH-TV, where knowledge is turned into wisdom. Until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of His hand. Bye-bye.